Hello, dear students. Today we are going to do Class 6 NCERT History Chapter 1 What, Where, How, and When. You see that when you are reading your book, you find that the chapter starts with Rashida's question. Rashida is a girl and she asks a question after reading headlines in the news, and there she finds 100 years ago. So she becomes exclaimed that how or what might have happened 100 years ago. So in that scenario, you read the chapter, you find different topics. So today we are going to do the concept mapping of this chapter. To understand the whole chapter in short, we have the concept maps. And here also we will be seeing this concept map one by one so that you understand the chapter easily. Let's start. What, where, how, and when means what, at what place, what happened, where it happened, how, what was the way in which it happened, and the time when it happened, especially the years. So this was is the chapter, and in this chapter we will start from one by one. What can we know about the past? Here, what can we know about the past? This is your first part. You can see here, what can we know about the past? In this, we have read about different things. There are several things we can find out: what people ate, or the kind of clothes they wore, the houses in which they lived. We can find out about the lives of hunters, herders, farmers, and rulers. So the hunters were there, they were hunting animals. Herders were there, they were taming the animals, keeping them. The farmers were there, they were doing the task of growing the crops. The rulers were there, they were ruling, and the priests. So all these things are there. The hunters are there, the rulers are there, the gatherers are there, the herders are there, the farmers are there, the rulers are there, the priests are there. So all these persons are there. So about their lives and how these persons were living, that is the first thing we study and we think about. And after that we also see that about the lives. After see that we see the games the children played. Okay, like you were also children, so there also they might be having, the hunters might be having the children, the herders might be having the children, the farmers might be having the children, or the rulers might be having the children, or the priests might be having the children. So what were the kind of life the children were having, what kind of games the children were playing, and the clothes worn by the student children's means, or the people. Here the clothes, like you are also wearing clothes, and for uniform you are having school uniform. On different days you are having different uniforms, in different weathers we are having different uniform or the clothes. So what kind of clothes the people of that era were wearing? So that is another question. So that also comes to be known when we are studying this chapter. What people ate, the kind of food the people are eating. Today we are having the vegetarian diet, the non-vegetarian diet, whether the people in the early times were vegetarian or the non-vegetarian. All things were the question, whether they sing song, what were they doing, what activities they were having, what kind of life they were having. So this part is consisting all the things. Houses people lived in, like we have seen the Burza home, Gufkral, and all those things. These places are there, and the pit houses were there. We have already read somewhere, and in our chapter also we have read this. So we find that they were having different kind of house. They were now we are having kacha houses, pakka houses, tree houses, houses in caves. All those things are there in mountains. So whatever kind of houses they were there, that also we study in the history, and we learn those things. After that, we are having where people live. Where did people live? So where did people live? Here you have the questions. First is the on the banks of the river. Where the people were living? They were living on the banks of the river. Next to that, they are having the hills. Okay, first is the banks of the river. Though it is written here mills, it is not mills, it is hills. So they were living on the hills. And third, they were not living at one place, and they traveled. Okay, so on the banks of the river, which bank of the river was there where they were living? So on the bank of river Narmada. Okay, we are having the river Narmada. On the bank of river the people were living, and they were skilled gatherers, means they were collecting the food items, honey, and other things were there. And all those things, like you can see, then honey is there, and different things are there, like you can also say that the jaggery is there, or apart from that we can say that the gums are there, they are collecting from the trees. Like in the kika tree we are having gum from which the sweets are being made. Collected roots of fruits, hunted animals. They also collected the roots and fruits which were available nearby, and they also hunted the animals. They were also feeding on animals. They were, first of all, when the fire was not discovered, they were killing the animals and they were eating them raw. But after the discovery of fire, they found that we can also cook them. Apart from Narmada river or the river, the Indus and its tributaries are there. The river Indus is there, which is known as Sindhu River in India. So Sindhu or Indus is there, and its tributaries are there, which is basically now belonging to Pakistan, and they are all flowing in Pakistan. Some of the earliest cities flourished there, and you all well know that some of the cities are there which have been flourishing there. We are having the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro are there. So that all cities are in Pakistan, and they all have been developed in the past on the banks of river Indus and its tributaries. Third, we are having the river Ganga and its tributary Son. Okay, Ganga and its tributary Son. So here we are having the, it's a Magadha you can say, or the Ayodhya you can say. So on the banks, Saryu river was there. Okay, Saryu river is there. There the city Ayodhya were there. Ayodhya was a large kingdom, and apart from that, the Ganga and its tributary, we are having the, in Bihar we are having Magad. So it was also a large kingdom, and the Magad and Vajji, you know that they were also the large cities in the past time, and they were known as the Mahajanpadas. Apart from the Ganga and its tributary, we are having the Sulaiman and Kirthar Hills. Apart from rivers, they were living on the bank, on the hills also. So the Sulaiman and Kirthar Hills are there in the northwest of our country, northwestern part of our country. And some of the earliest crop grown there were the wheat and barley. Okay, and the essence of wheat and barley have been found on Suleiman and Kirthar Hills. So you can easily remember that on Suleiman and Kirthar Hills we have, it is in the northwest, and we have found there what kind of things we have seen, the grown wheat and barley is grown. Apart from that, the people were also living in the Garo Hills and the Vindhya range. Okay, the Vindhyachal is there, or the Vindhya range is there, and the Garo Hills are there. There also the people were living, and the northwest, and these places are in the northwestern part and the central India. And especially in Garo Hills and Vindhya region, the rice was grown. Okay, because abundance availability of water, the rice was grown easily. Apart from that, where people lived on the banks of river, we have discussed, on the hills we have discussed. Apart from that, some of the peoples were there, they were regularly traveling, they were not staying at one place. I think you can understand it better as nomads. So they were searching in search of traveling in search of foods. Okay, so what they were searching, food, and they were traveling from one place to another. So they were not living at one place to live. So wherever on the way they found the places where they can live with their cattle, or they were live where their livestock. So they were staying there, they were feeding them, they were taming them, and all these things was going on to escape natural calamities. Why they were doing so? Because earlier you have seen, and we believe that the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa was there, they have faced a large what we say that there was a, what we say, extreme flood were there, and the cities were lost. So after that, the people developed a habit of not settling at one place, and those people were traveling, and these people believed that if we will live at one place, the food will get empty because of the regular grazing of cattle. So they shifted from one place to another, and they always remain on travel. So that sort of people were there, and they traveled a lot, and they were traveling in search of food. Okay, so this was your topic, where did people live. After where did people live, names of the land, we will be seeing the names of the land. Third topic what we are having our is your names of the land. Names of the land means how India got its name. So India is there, the name of India is that India, Bharat. Okay, Sindhu, Hindu, Sapt Sindhu, different names are there. And here India name comes from the word Indus. Okay, so the Indus Valley civilization is there, from that Indus word the word India comes. Second to that, we are having Bharata. Bharata, group of people who lived in northwest. Okay, so the northwestern part of India, the people were living, they were known as the Bharat. And this word Bharat is also mentioned in the Rig Veda. Okay, we are having the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Sam Veda, the Yajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda. So in the Rig Veda, the word Bharata is used. Okay, the owner of the land, Bharat. Okay, was Bharat. Bharat was also the brother of King Rama. So from his name also, and the Bharat word is there. So from that, the name of the land Bharat is kept. Next to that, we are having finding about out about the past. How we find out about the past? Okay, so we found about the past from, first of all, from the manuscripts. Manu means written by hand. So the things which were written in hand, okay, or the things which were written by hand or handwritten things are known as manu. So Latin word manu means meaning hand, means something by hand. So manuscripts means what is written with hand. And the languages which were used to write these manuscripts are basically the Tamil language, the Prakrit language, the Sanskrit language. So the basic languages which are used are Tamil language, Prakrit language, and the Sanskrit language. And it deals with manuscripts, basically deals with the epics, poems, play and plays. Epics means the stories of victories and wars, and which are believed to be true, like the western science is there, or the western world is there, which does not believe that there was Mahabharata or Ramayana. So that is the epic. For them it is an epic, and it is on our belief that whether we believe that they existed, Rama existed, Lord Krishna existed, so all these things are there. So that is an epic. Next is your poems. Okay, and poems are there in that. All of you know that what a poem is, and poems about different things, or the different nature or everything, that is basically written in Sanskrit, all the Prakrit or the Tamil language. Medicine and science, the Charak and the Shrutra were there. They have developed different technology of the surgery or the medicine science. All those things can be seen here. Lives of kings, how the king were there and how were living their lives, and how they lived a life in their lives, what they were having, how the kind of luxuries they were having, how much valor they were having, how much what we say, like how much power they were having, what was the things done by them, what were the things done by them, and the what are the areas in which they worked, what kind of important things they did for the people. All these things are mentioned in these, and in these manuscripts. And religious beliefs and practices means, at that time, what were the religious beliefs and practices of the people, means in what they believed, whether they believed in God or not, whether they believed in religion or not, whether they believed in someone or not. So all those things are mentioned in these manuscripts. And manuscripts were basically written on the palm leaves, especially where the manuscripts are written, they are written on the palm leaves. After that, we can also see the inscriptions. Apart from manuscripts, we have inscriptions. Inscriptions means dug out. Inscript means to dug out, used for written on. Okay, inscriptions were written on means metal and stone. Basically what was used, the metal was used and the stone was used. So the metal was there and the stone was there. Some people used to write the inscriptions on the metal, some people used to write the inscriptions on the stone. So the two things were used to write the inscriptions. And basically the inscriptions were used for writing the records of victory in battle and king's order. Whatever the king ordered for the kingdom, that all things were written in the inscriptions. And second thing, whatever the records of the victories, whether the king won or whether the king lost the battle, all those things were written in the inscriptions. Next to that, finding out about the past, we are having people who had these objects. Okay, people who study these objects, or people who find out this object. With the mind map, you can understand that here you can see that the persons who are studying about the past, or person who are finding these things, or person who are studying about these things, are basically called as the archaeologists. So the archaeologists are there who are studying about the past, who are telling us that what happened, where it happened, how it happened, and when it happened in the past, because we are studying history, and history is all about studying the past. Next to that, one past or many. Again a question arises, do we have only a single past, or we have many past? So in this order, we will have different for different groups of people. So different people have different past, and we are divided into different groups in the society, and every group had a different past. Next, from farmers to kings and queens. So the farmer or the peasant was having a different past, they were having a different life, and they had a different type of lifestyle. So that was the thing, that was of the farmers and how they lived. And the king and queen had totally different life, or separate life from the farmers. So the farmer's life was very hectic, he was having a tough job, as compared to the kings and queen, those who were not having such tough job. We cannot say that kings were not having tough job, they were having tough job, but they were having luxuries too, but the farmers did not enjoyed any such luxuries. Next from that we are having from merchants to craft persons. So the merchants were basically the persons who were selling and buying things from one place to another, and these merchants were basically travelers and they traveled from one place to another. But the craft persons were small persons who were investing their income or their money in small businesses, like they can be potters, they can be what we say garland makers and all those, and they were not having that much amount of money which made them rich or anything, but they were selling their made outs, and from that they were earning their livelihood. Different customs and practices. So we were having one past or many past that was also understood from different customs or practices. Still we can see that the tribals are having a different way of lifestyle. In the forest they are living in a different way, and we are in the cities living in a different way, and the people in the villages are living in a different way. So we can easily say that the people are having different practices. Okay, so the customs and practices of the people also vary. So here we can know about from the customs and practices of the people that how they lived in the past. What do dates mean? Means now we are having about the date we are talking. So what do dates mean? Date means AD, Anno Domini, and BC is before Christ, that was used. Now we are using the new terms for them, and that is your CE, Common Era, and second is your BCE, before Common Era. Okay, CE and BCE are used, and these two things are now used in the new term, and the common era is there and the before common era is there. Years counted from the birth of Jesus, that is your before Christ, and before the birth of the, and years counted after the birth of Jesus was AD, that is the Anno Domini. So these things are there, you can understand, and these are the two things we study the date. And that's all for this chapter. I hope so you might have understood it very well, and you will try to learn this mind map. Once you will learn this mind map carefully, or you will draw this mind map carefully, you will understand each and every aspect of the chapter. So in order to study or in order to learn it properly, try to draw this mind map and learn it in a proper way. Thank you, thanks a lot.